How's it going, lovebirds? This is episode 9 of the Good Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Derek Brown Jr., and I'm here with one of my partners and trusted colleagues, Adam Hendershot. How's it going, bro?
It's going really well. I'm just really happy to be on the show today. I know, you have a lot of great insights into relationships and to, how you can improve them, and even how you can start them, maintain them, all that fun stuff. So I'm just excited to share my 2 cents.
I appreciate that, and the reason I wanted you to be on this one was to talk about a special topic today, and the whole scheme of it is really just how love is a choice, but the main question that I really want to dive in is the idea, something that we've talked about personally behind the scenes, and it's the difference of like loving the idea of a person or actually loving a person. So I want to just give you free reign to just go in on that topic. I know you got a lot to say, and I know people are just going to love to hear it.
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, from the beginning, I think the first point that we should make, obviously, I don't know if you said it in the intro there, but, love is work. Love isn't something that just happens. It doesn't just happen to you. If it is happening to you, it's someone else putting in the effort for it to happen to you. And, I think when we grow up, sometimes we get that, in many cases, you get that unconditional love from your parents. And you kind of take love, that feeling of love and like protection and doing anything for someone for granted, because when you grow up, that's just the way it is, right? But I think that's part of maturing, is realizing that it's hard to love someone, especially when you have to take responsibility for them, when you're a kid, and it's responsibility, that's what it is. So, and to get back to the core question there, what's the difference between loving someone and loving the idea of someone? Loving someone is putting in the work, whether or not it's convenient for you to love them, doing it anyway, right? Being there, right? And loving the idea of someone is basically...
Are you guys going to be here for a while?
Yeah.
I just have to run to UT to get my kid, and I'm coming right back, so I didn't want to lock it up.
Oh, no, you're good.
Yeah, but, basically, love is hard work. Love is a conscious effort that you have to make every day. It doesn't just go on autopilot, right? Now, with loving the idea of someone, it's more of a selfish thing, right? Because you're thinking, well, you love the idea of this person. You really like the idea of what this person can do for you. If that makes sense, because everyone always says, oh man, I need a girl or I need a guy that can do this because I'm just so bad at this. And that's just the foundation of a terrible relationship, filling in your own gaps and emotional insecurities with someone else's strength, because that's not healthy. It should be a mutually building and mutually, beneficial relationship. That's how all relationships should be, because they're work, right? Because you have to invest in it. It's a long-term investment. And I think that's the main thing, is that with, loving the idea of someone, it's just more selfish. It's thinking short term, about instant gratification, about what I want right now, not about, it's not about getting to know that person and loving that person for all the bad parts about them too. Because for every nice, beautiful thing about a person, there's something that's equally as ugly, or maybe not, undesirable, maybe, quote unquote, undesirable.
Yeah.
But, loving someone is looking past all that and having the maturity to love them anyways.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Just going back on what you were talking about with the idea of it being selfish, loving the idea of someone being selfish. I think about it in the way that it's like, here you are as a person, and you may see like everyone in social media, they have these relationships, and of course we want to be with someone, but the idea of being with someone can cause us to be with the wrong someone. So it could lead us to be with someone that's not right for us, or it could lead us to just basically spending our time with multiple people, and in doing so, kind of like breaking our own selves down. So it's like just even starting with the the point of like loving the idea of someone, it can set you up for failure. Like you said, it's just like the beginning of something that's not right. So I think that even going into any relationship with that mentality, just like, oh, I want a relationship just for the relationship, or I want to be coated up because it's winter time. I don't know,
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
just any reason. I just want to go on a date with someone. I just want someone to make me feel special.
Well, yeah, and I think to build on that, I think dating in general, particularly in American high schools, has become it's just a big status game, right? And I think a lot of relationships happen because of certain social circles. Literally people, the guys of this group and the girls of this group will force these two, and they'll spread all these secrets about how these two should be together.
Right.
And that's all a status game, right? Because they're from their particular little clique or whatever, and they're kind of forcing this thing to happen, and maybe those two end up dating because they like the idea of it, but they're really doing it just to appease the rest of the people,
right.
to put on the show, right?
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what it is status, and I think I just think that's bad, and I think that's when you see on social media people, all the drama about relationships, all the talking about this person, and people just being too much involved in other people's relationships. Those are the ones where they like the idea of a relationship, and they're selfish relationships. It's not about growing with that person and having unconditional care and love for them. It's really about putting on that show and trying to elevate your status, or I don't even know what it is. I think we're animals, and that's how animals behave. But I think getting out of that animalistic instinct and going more towards the uncomfortable, which is, I think that's important to go to that uncomfortable, because I think it's comfortable to just get instant gratification and think, well, what's good for me? But it takes a lot of maturity to say, okay, what does this person need from me? Not, it kind of goes back to the principle that JFK, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. But you can, and that's the thing. Our relationship with our nation is kind of like that of a girlfriend or boyfriend, Ask not what your girlfriend or boyfriend can do for you, but what you can do for them because of unconditional love.
Right.
And I think the key is, I think it's really hard, and this is where the fun part comes in. I think it's hard to give unconditional love to someone who doesn't deserve it. And someone who doesn't deserve it is someone who's doing it for status and is doing it because they like the idea of you. So you should never settle for someone, even if you have that unconditional love for them. You need to let them go. Because if there's not two people looking to the other side saying what they can do for them, that's a recipe for disaster. So, that's, enough said, honestly. It's just like, that's it.
I agree with you. I mean, what could go right in that? I mean, you got emotions thrown in there. You got people's time in there, especially if they're really physical. Then you're giving someone a piece of yourself, like a part of yourself that you should truly hold on to, share with someone that you truly care about. It's like if you're just giving this out based off of the idea of being with someone, or just to appease the crowd, or just for status, like you said, it's like that's just going to damage you. It's going to damage the other person, because someone may even assume that they're actually in love with you, and then it'll come to a point where you actually realize that they're not the one for you, and then you have to go through that breakup. And I know that everyone has gone through these breakups where they knew that it was coming, they just didn't want to go through it, and so they stayed in a relationship for however long that they didn't need to, and it caused even more pain, because they were just really not listening to intuition. They weren't trusting in their own selves to know that it's like they weren't doing it for actual love. They were doing it just because it was just there.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, is that some people become, let's go to the roots of this, right? I think from the beginning, everyone develops the most important part of any person's development is the first 5 years of your life, period, the end, right? So I think if you don't get the emotional support and the emotional attention and that emotional intelligence that you need at that age, it's hard for you. In a lot of cases, some people grow out of it, and they can learn to have their own self-esteem and have their own, provide themselves with their own emotional security. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of cases, as people grow up, more into their teens, they have to look to other people for emotional security. They have to look to a significant other for that comfort or for that actualization, for them to say that you're worth it. You're worth the time, you're worth the effort. Some people need that, and they almost get addicted to that feeling of security, and they don't have that independence. Like, have you ever seen those couples that are literally attached at the hip?
Yeah.
And they're always texting each other like how. And for me, it's like I'm a very independent person. I was really lucky. I'm lucky to be independent, but I just couldn't stay in touch with someone all day like that because I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I have self-esteem and I don't need someone else's approval to do what I need to do every day.
Yep.
But some people, they really do need that because lack of attention when they're a child, whatever it is, but it roots back to something. And if you can find what that root is, you can fix it, and that's what it takes. You have to know, why can't I move on from this relationship? Or why do when I get out of a relationship, why do I jump right back into another one? Mm-hmm. And in many cases, I think most of the time it's girls, needing a guy's relationship. That's just what I'm observing. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. It probably happens the other way around, but from my perspective, I think it happens a lot where women feel like they need to be with a guy, and I see this too often, where they think they can fix a guy that's shitty,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you could just understand that you need to work on yourself and not worry about working on someone else,
Mm-hmm.
no one can work on that person except for themselves. And I don't think you should ever go into a relationship assuming or hoping or wishing that you can fix someone else's problems.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is fix your own problems, help them. That's it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the weird thing about relationships, is that it's selfish in a way and it's unselfish in a way, because you have to be selfish enough to know, give each other boundaries, get your own shit done, clean your room, don't worry about whether your boyfriend is going out with the guys tomorrow night. Worry about what you got to do today,
Right.
And that's where that mutual trust comes in, that you both know you're going to get your shit done and you're going to come together at the end of the day and you're going to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and it's nothing but love and support at that point, right? Because you both are taking care of your own stuff.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there's no quarrels because one person isn't depending on the other for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that person will never feel like they're doing a chore to give that to the other person.
Yeah.
Because that person has everything they need.
Yep.
The other person has everything they need. But now it's just excess love and support, even though they already have everything they need emotionally, physically, whatever it is.
Yep.
But it's just, if you can both have that sense of self-actualization and then come together as mature adults, that kind of relationship is just the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're basically, what he just did was he basically just wrapped up a treasure of how to build like the exact relationship you want. And I'm just going to re-say it in a different way so that you can understand the way what he's trying to give you. So if you have enough self-love in yourself, then you will love yourself enough to put yourself to care for yourself in the best ways, to give yourself the best conditions in life, to work towards the things that you actually want in life, and you won't be so necessarily worried about the other person that you're with, but because of them actually doing the same exact thing as you're doing, loving themselves enough to work towards, we'll say, their dreams also, then they'll already be fulfilled for doing the things that they love the most. And with that fulfillment, it'll give them the ability to actually love you more and support you more because they're already fulfilled. They're not looking at you to fulfill them anymore because they're already fulfilled.
And that's a huge point, because like one of the points on the hierarchy of needs, right after physical needs, is the need for the approval of others. And I think a lot of people get stuck at that part, needing the approval of others. So if you can get over that hump of needing someone else's approval, someone else's love, someone else's permission to do something for you, or to go succeed, or to do whatever it is, you know, if you can get over that and more to the point where you're working on your pride, you know, because after you get the support of others around you, you kind of start feeling like, okay, well, I don't just need their love. Now I'm going to start, I want like respect. You know, you're going to start wanting respect. And once you learn to fully respect, well, once you earn the respect of others, because respect is not just given, it's earned. Once you earn the respect of others, you can move to self-actualization, because once you're done, you know, I think this happens, you know, late, you know, early adulthood. I think a lot of people get over that. You know, they've built their esteem from getting the approval of enough people, and now they're looking for more respect, and they're looking more inside themselves, you know, to get like self-approval in a way. So if you can get to the point where where you're not doing things for other people's approval,
Right.
but you're doing it for your own approval, that's where the, you know, that's where the sauce is for the relationships. You know, that's where the special sauce is. You know?
Okay, so my next question is this. Let's say someone checked out the Good Relationships podcast. They listened to what you said. They're like, okay, I'm about to go back and get the secret sauce. I'm about to figure out self-love, and I'm going to stop caring about what others think and stop trying to please others, and basically everything you said. So let's say they get the sauce, right? So now they have the sauce, and they're ready. They're actually ready to love someone willingly. Like they're ready to make it a choice of theirs. So what does that look like with someone who has that self-love? And what does it look like them being with someone who has the same thing? So them basically willingly being in that relationship.
Well, I think a big part of it is mutual trust. That's one of the biggest indicators of a mature relationship like that, where both partners have reached not self-actualization, but, you know, are building their own self-respect, right? And that's starting to do the right thing more. Maybe not acting as much selfishly, but you know, you've built your esteem, and you're getting out of that selfish part of your mindset, and you're ready to give unconditionally. You know, and that's a big step. So I think what that looks like, honestly, is right off the bat. I mean, if it's someone that you're meeting right off, you know, right now, you know, you didn't know them before, but you're meeting them right now, I would say the best thing that you can do is be as honest as you can about what you want in a person, about and the thing, the key is someone is going to be the right person will be attracted to you when you're able to express yourself and what you care about and how that can relate to them. Because if you're just only focused on them, you know, it's going to show that you kind of like the idea of them. But if you're thinking long term and you're bringing in, and it's about the conversations that you have, you know. So if you start the tone of the relationship talking about middle school stuff, you know, and not getting down to the stuff that really matters, you know. Most of these listeners that are listening now are going to be ages 20 to 25 to 30, I don't know. But at this age, you got to just be straight to the point.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat around the bush. You can't do all this small talk. You have to say, these are the things that I care about. These are the things that are absolutely necessary when I'm going to start seeing someone, like I'm serious. And if you really are serious, they're going to be able to tell, because, you know, genuinity, I don't know the right word for that, but genuineness is really easy to read with just intuition. You don't have to be an expert. People can tell when you're being genuine.
You can feel it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you can't pretend to be genuine. So you really do have to reach this level of maturity and self-love to be able to express your wants and your desires with, in relation to a partner. You're going to have to do those things to be able to do that successfully. In my opinion, that's what I found. But I think really what that looks like is really not overcommitting. I really don't. I think you should be straight up with them in the beginning and say, let's hang out. Don't take them on a 5-star dinner the first time. You can if you want, if it's love at first sight. If you believe in that, that's cool. But my personal style, don't overcommit, because specifically with guys, it's a bad sign when a guy commits really hard right away. That means in many cases he's playing some games. Right? So in my opinion, a mature man will let his intentions be very clear, and then just take it slow. Hey, let's just hang out.
Be friends.
And I think a great way to start, and a very mature way to start even, is hang out with in a group environment to start. Go do some activities. You don't need to sit down and have a big long discussion the first time you hang out. Go to listen to some music, do an activity, have some fun together,
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't get so serious right away.
Yeah.
And remember that this is the person potentially that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with. Make sure you can freaking kick back with them.
Be comfortable. Be comfortable.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So just go have fun with someone, and don't stress about it. Don't make it a huge commitment right away, but just go out and have a good time. And that's going to be what most of your times with them are going to be anyways, just hanging out, having a good time. That's it. I mean, you're going to be sticking with them through the good and the bad.
Right.
But to start off, keep the tone light,
Yeah, don't spend all your lunch money on your first date.
Yeah.
All right? Be creative. We can't stress this enough. Be creative. Go and I don't know, bake cookies. Don't go out and just buy food. Bake cookies or make a lunch, and then choose a place that they never been to, and that has a nice some nice scenery in. Then do something like that, or I don't know, be creative, make it fun, because you just want to show that you're different. That's the whole point of it being a choice. You putting in you having the willpower to basically show that you're serious without being so serious. It's I'm serious about me dating you, but I don't want you to think I'm ready for a marriage right now, because that comes off really scary.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think those relationships can definitely work out. I personally know, a couple that's been married for, I think, between 15 and 20 years, and they got married within the first 2 months of knowing each other. So of course those are 1% cases. That's 1% of people that get married do it that way. No, and that's the thing. If you just know for sure that's the one, and you just gotta do it,
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, who am I to say? But my advice personally, in my personal style, would be tread lightly, because especially with guys, because if he commits super hard and he shows a bunch of feelings right away, I'm sorry to say it, women, but he's having shiny object syndrome, and he's gonna get bored. Okay, he's gonna get bored.
Can you explain shiny object syndrome a little bit more? Shiny
object syndrome is kind of the same thing as I was saying earlier about liking the idea of someone. Is basically just saying, guys will. I think a lot of guys will convince themselves, just based on face value. A lot of times just based on appearance, they'll say, oh man, I could totally date this girl. I'm super into her, blah, 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 blah. And that's overcommitting right away. And when that happens, in many cases, after a month, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, maybe he'll stop responding to your texts, right? And that's because he got shiny object syndrome.
What happened?
Well, what happened? Well, the problem is that you don't know what a mature guy looks like. And that's the thing. I think some guys will be mature and fully follow through, but I've seen it happen too many times. The guy will act super serious. The girl will be super excited. And a week later he will stop responding because he found some other girl and he's doing the exact same thing.
And just on the opposite side of that spectrum, it actually works the same way with women too. Like if a guy gets super excited, then the girl may stop responding. And that's also just a sign that like you're just not ready. Like if someone is not responding to you, and in both ways, if someone's not responding to you and you're still trying to like contact them, then that's an issue. Like just let it go. Let it go. And if you're still thinking about dating someone, just move on. If they're right for you, they'll come back.
And here's the key. Here's the I can't say the F word. Here's the freaking key.
You can say that.
I can say it. Here's the fucking key. Okay? Okay? If you feel offended or you feel like your day isn't going to be the same because this person won't respond to you, it's not something wrong with them, it's something wrong with you. No person that you barely know should be able to control your emotions. Mm-hmm. And this means it roots back to you're depending on someone else for your emotional stability, for, just for that actualization, If you really get burned up that someone isn't responding to you, there's something wrong with you, not that person.
The fact that you got overly excited when they did respond to you, like if you have too much of yourself into it, like, and if it's causing you to be so distracted from the rest of the world, it's probably something that you're looking for as a distraction. Like you're not even really wanting that. You're looking for the idea of it, the reward.
Or you're looking for the gratification of having that emotional stability. Oh, Jennifer, you're pretty. I just love being around you. Some people need to hear this over and over, but you have to be used to telling yourself those things and not needing to hear it from someone else.
Yes.
Because once you accept these things for yourself, that you're good enough, that you're smart enough, that you're attractive enough, whatever it is, once you can move past that and have all that for yourself, you're not going to be at the heels of some other person of the opposite sex. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly.
What you want, what your goals are, and what you're working on is way more important from that point on.
Exactly.
And that's where the really, really mature and great relationships happen.
We've actually talked about this in the past, and there's too many people that give up their dreams over relationships. Like I've heard so many stories where, I wish I could have done this, or my dream was to be this, and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, what happened? Well, I met your dad, or I met your mom, and it's like, well, why did that stop you? Like, my point is that I think that as long as you're focused on you and you have that self-love and you're constantly telling yourself that you're the best, you're beautiful, you don't need to hear from other people, not only will it sound so much greater hearing it from those people when it happens, but because you won't be so relied on that, you'll be so much more prepared to meet that person. And you'll be at the place where you're meeting people who are just like you. So if you're not settling, and that's the word I'm looking for, if you're not settling for just anybody, and you're working on yourself, and you may be in books, you may be working on your own businesses, you may be working out constantly, it's gonna just put you in the best place to meet that person that's on that level. If you're like in the gym constantly and you're working out, you're eating healthy, you're only going to be around other people doing the same things. So if you're telling yourself that you're a beautiful person and you're investing in yourself, then you're going to meet in other people who love their self the same way too. And that brings us back to the beginning, where if you meet someone who's also like that, then it makes it so much easier to love them and just support the dream that they're on, because they're going to do the same for you naturally.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the key, is making a relationship with the foundation based on mutual benefit. You both should be improving and benefiting. One person shouldn't, nothing should be taken away from either of you.
Yep.
Ever.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, love is a choice. Like you don't have to be there. You don't have to give your time with this person. you don't have to love them. You don't have to do anything for them. And if you ever get upset that you're doing anything for someone else, you probably shouldn't do it because you're not doing it out of the, fullness and kindness of your heart. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Who is it that you are around that you can do things effortlessly for? Like, who is it that you're with right now that you can spend time with and the time just flies by? Or when you're like sharing that moment and time just feels like it's not going anywhere. Like it just seem effortless. Like Adam said, you should feel comfortable because this could be the person that you're spending the rest of your life with. So
yeah.
That's all we got for you today, guys. And lovebirds, I got some good news for you. We are going to have a crazy lineup of speakers talking about, basically, it's just going to be a bunch of girls and guys giving their individual opinions on dating relationships. So they're going to be giving their personal examples, and it's just going to give you an idea of what other people are experiencing on dates and dating other people of the opposite sex. So I hope you guys tune in to the next few episodes, and as always, stay blessed, not stressed. Thanks, Adam.